So hello, everybody. This is Ingrid Dinter, and we're doing our publicity, a training call for EFT publicity using a publicity calendar, and getting into helping you really understand what it means to get out in the media. This call is recorded. You guys know that. If you haven't, of course you have. You're here. So if you don't have the publicity calendar yet, I will remind you a few times. You really need this thing. It's going to be awesome. And you will see why I say that in just a second. Actually, as we go there, hold a sec. I want to get my print version out for you guys, which is much nicer. So you all have the calendar, right? Okay, cool. Get on the camera. Do yourself a favor and see each other, because it's so nice. We had a quite a response to this, and I'm just so grateful for that. I'm so grateful. Hey, Diane, how are you? Georgia C. Morella is here. Helen, hey, Helen, Don, Carla, Nancy, Debbie, Adair. Hey, my friend. Hello. Sherry is here. Penny, Lois. Is Lois or Louise? How do you pronounce it, Lois? Is it Lois?
Lois. It's Lois. Aber für Deutsche ist das unheimlich schwierig. Klappt selten, ja.
Deutsche würden
Louis. Ich kann mich nicht mehr erinnern, aber war immer schwierig in Deutschland.
Yeah, so that basically means Germans have no idea.
Oh, yes, well, no, it's a sound that doesn't, I think it must not, that low sound. Low is not whatever, typical for German language.
You know, the nice thing, there's Linda too, there's Barb, Nicola, Candy is here. So cool. Thank you. By the way, a lot of you guys have filled out the survey and I printed it out, and that was super nice of you. Thank you for doing that. Really helped me understand where you're at. Francis is coming in. So we just want to give this a little bit of time. Hey, Donna. We just want to give this a little bit of time because we actually had a phenomenal response, something I did not expect. And, a lot of people also said, it's not really my time zone, or, it's Saturday. And we all get that. So I just wanted to make sure you guys know it's recorded. We send it out. You also get a recording, obviously. But I would assume that, a number of people do want to join. So we're just going to wait a few minutes. And, what's really cool about this is that all of you in here have some connection to EFT. That's a rare situation. That is really, really cool. And you do different things with it. Some of you are practitioners, some of you have experienced it. Some of you are really, really out there. Some of you are just getting started or want to get started, but we have that in common. And when I looked through the questionnaire, I realized that all of you say, I just want to get the word out about EFT. And we will talk about this, because when it comes to publicity, what you want to do is actually one of the decisive factors in, how you, what the best media for you might be. And I want to actually help you deepen this too. So I do have a PowerPoint for you. Obviously, I need that so that I can stay a little bit organized and focused. We will go. I am not 100% sure how long we're going to be. I would think we're going to be somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes to let you know that. And that is just from the experience I want to serve you. Okay. And I'm not going to say, I'm really sorry, but you should have asked me 10 minutes ago. I just think that's rude. It's not necessary. We're here to support each other. And I do want to do my very darndest to stay within that time frame, hopefully shorter, but I also really want to help you. So if you do have to leave, totally get it. There will be recordings, so don't feel pressured here that you're missing out on something. Hey, Claire, how are you? And Carla is here. And oh my goodness, now we're having so many people. I have to look on screens. This is great. Sherry is here. Francis is here. Morel. Is it Morella? Morella is right? See, I can't say Lois, but I can Morella. I can say Morella. So there's a 1 out of 2. That's fair enough. let's see, what time is it? We should probably get started. So what I'm going to do is I am obviously trying to stick to my presentation here, making sure that we are kind of, staying in course. We will talk about what we do, what we're not going to be doing. There will be some hands-on time. There will also be some training time. It is an overview. So I cannot teach you everything I know within an hour and a half so that you then run out and just own the media. Again, we all know that's not going to happen, but you will get an overview and you will get an understanding of what this actually means. You will be able to make some decisions about which direction you want to go, what does not make any sense for you. Also, maybe homework you have to do up front, because that was actually how it was for me when I first started. So let's do that. I will, hold on, and I see here's our chat. There's Claire, Nancy, wonderful. All righty, yeah, you can always put things in the chat. And I actually encourage that. That, you really get busy on the chat. You can also download the chat later. You'll know that when you open up the chat, there are the 3 little dots. And when you click on them, oh yeah, and when you have background noise, just mute yourself. There's a way to save your chat and then get it from there. All right, somebody has background noise. And I will just do this. I will just go in and mute everybody if I'm able to do that, or just mute yourself. Doesn't matter. Just mute yourself. That's great. Perfect. So before we get started, anybody has something something special you would like for me to know? You want the group to know? This is your time. Just unmute yourself, say really quick, and otherwise we get started. No raising of hands. Cool. Excellent. So you unmuted yourself, which means you can also, you muted yourself, so you can also unmute yourself, which means you can interrupt if you want to. Be mindful of that. We're a big group, and we want to make sure that we really get our message across here. All righty. So cool. Very cool. There's Maret from Greece. So nice to see you, my dear. All righty. So I will start sharing my screen.
So weird. So funny. I know. We let them just bully us into everything, even that.
Okay. Somebody is not muted.
Seriously.
Somebody is not muted here. There we go. All right. So let's get started. And oops.
So what are you going to do today? What time is it? It's still morning.
Excuse me, somebody is not muted.
Yeah, it's only 11:10. This days go so slow.
Oh no. Well, you can go to the
All
gym
right,
and walk on the thing.
I know, but my head is so
Oh
bad.
yeah. No, don't.
Somebody is on the phone.
Yeah,
Would you please mute yourself?
Yeah.
Bounce on my ball a little.
Somebody is on the phone. Would you please mute
ball?
yourself? Okay, I have to do this then myself. I'm so sorry about this.
Yeah, bounce on your ball. Watch some TV.
All righty, let me just.
Curtis wasn't supposed to work today, so he'll come home earlier. And he said that we could go to Sunset Cliffs.
It could be Carolyn or it could be Nancy.
Oh, that's good.
It doesn't require much movement.
No hiking.
But I need to get out of the house.
I think I saw the name Jeanette Howard is talking.
Yeah, it's somebody called Jeanette. That's how it appears. Yeah.
Well, maybe you can go at least sit outside.
Okay, this is better then. Okay, great. So trying this again. Here we go. Perfect. You guys can all see this? Excellent. And you do have the chat. So big welcome to you. I just want to share with you really quickly who I am and what I'm not, because I think that you really need to know that. I am an EFT master trainer. I have been an EFT practitioner and trainer for over 20 years. I am also a cancer survivor. So you see short hair versus my beautiful picture that I still use, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to be talking about later. But what I am not, and that's really important for me, you know that I am not a media expert. All right, there are people who are, I'm not. So I'm not the person that knows the ins and outs of all the media, but I have trained. I had a full year of training with Selena Sue and her team. I've known her since 2012, and they're just dear to my heart. They are wonderful. So I've learned a ton, and I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing with you what I needed to know when I was in that situation. Before I really realized what media means and what I needed to know, I was a well-known expert in a very small circle. And I knew that I had influence. I certainly know that I have a ton of skills, but I didn't have any idea how to expand my reach. And what this meant is that most of my clients were word of mouth. And, you know, I just kind of was sitting there wondering what do I need to do for more people to see what I'm doing? And I knew that my message that we're going to be talking about in a minute was extremely dear to my heart. And it was important for me that I could get it out there. And I just didn't know how. I've invested probably the equivalent of a college tuition into business training. So I have a ton of business training. And still, knowing how to build a business helped me make money and get clients, but it didn't really help me get that reach. And that's what I realized when I started to understand that media actually is an amazing way to get your word out, and also to expand your reach and to get more clients. So what I realized was that I had to really, if I want to be seen in the media, I really have to niche in my brand in a different way than I thought I did. I had to create a really good media bio. I had to define expert topics. I had to know what that actually means. I had to outlets that might be interested in my work. I had to learn how to approach them, how to write really good pitches. You know, all of that is not EFT, but it's important because that's how the world works out there. I'm already committed to do this next year. For full disclosure, I also had a major fight with cancer last year. So I wasn't always my best. And I had to do what I was doing in my own time and at my own, in my own spaces. So, and I know a lot of you do too. So don't be intimidated by this. Don't get nervous about this. That's all fine. You find your own way. Ultimately, my goal is to be, for next year, I want to get into the big magazines, not just the smaller ones. So Forbes, USA Today, Washington Post, and New York Times are definitely on my list. I also want to get into some mainstream media. That is extremely important because of what I do. And we will be talking about this in a minute more. I am in the process, actually, through the work that I do, I found an editor who helps me with my book, Healing Beyond the BA. And when I see myself and my goal, I will be so well known that I get invited in Washington, D.C., which happened before, actually, but I want to really get out there and help our veterans on a large scale. I want to teach others how to do that. It's not just EFT, trust me. And I want to be the voice and face for EFT for veterans and teach as many practitioners and clinicians and folks as I possibly can about how to do this work. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's extremely important to me. And I can't just do that by, word of mouth, trust me. All right, let's talk about you. Let's talk about why you are here. And hold on for 1 second. For some reason, I can't seem to be able to get this stupid bar away from the top there. And I'm not sure why that is. I can't see my mouse. So let me just see if I can move this up. Yeah, I can. Perfect. Let's talk about for a minute why you are here. And I looked through your forms here, obviously, and I realized that you guys want credibility and reputation for your work. That's what the media actually does. You might want to have a legacy. You know, for me as a stage 4 cancer survivor, my goal in life is not to build a 6-figure business. I had a 6-figure business for years, you know, with EFT. That's not the problem. You know, getting clients is not the problem. You just go out there, spread the word, you know, get some clients, do some good work. Your fees have to be where you need them to be. And, you know, you create 6-figure businesses and programs, not a problem. But I wanted to be remembered for something. I wanted to leave a mark in the world. And I just thought, you know, if I only have a year or two, which is what it looked like last year, then what do I want to do with that, you know, looking back, and what have I not done? And you might have that too. You know, you might have this desire, this dream. I just want people to connect my name with something, right? With something important, with something relevant, not just with, you know, she's been working with all these people and it was great, right? So really think about this. Let this sink in for a minute for yourself, because the more you know your mission in your heart and the legacy that you want to have in this world, the better and easier it will be for you to really do the work you need to do, you know, because you do need to do this work. You can't just sit at home and say, you know, I want to find a cheap and easy way to get publicity, but I don't really want to, you know, get the word out. I don't want to market. I don't want to sell. You know, you guys would not have found the course if I hadn't put it out there. And you're here because it works for you. So that's the same thing for you. A lot of folks they are here to share a message. They want specific things to get out there. I know some of you are authors. Helen, you're an author, amongst many other things. So you want the world to know, for example, your book's out there. You want the world to know why your book gets out there. You know, some of you are researchers. We see a lot of people in our field, when they talk about getting publicity, they actually want to publish their studies, if you're in this field. So that's great, but that's a very different way. That's not really media. That is really more reputation and spreading the world in a certain field, but it doesn't get the word out beyond that. There's a difference between your message and your mission. You know, when you're on a mission, you say, hey, I want to change something, and let's all get on that. Let's get on that together. Let's help and change the world of, you know, kids with anxiety, or, you know, whatever it is that you want to do. And in order to do that, we're going to be using this and that. We're going to be using this tool, right? So that's different from your message. You have a purpose, and a lot of you say, I'm very passionate about something. That's what your mission is. And your mission also creates your legacy. And people said, I want to get more clients. And actually, I don't hate to give it to you like that. I had too much business training in my face to be shy about saying this. If you say, I want to get more clients, you actually want to have people pay you and buy your things. And you can't have people pay you and buy your things if you don't tell them that you have something to offer. And if you don't sell it to them, if you don't market it to them, there's no way to get clients. And I want to establish a couple of things here, which is really important as you see yourself in a bigger context. Your business is not that far off, or not that much different than a bakery, right? You have bread to feed the people. When you say, I want to feed the people, that doesn't mean you're a baker, right? And when you say, I'm baking bread, that doesn't mean you sell it. And if you say, I created great bread by using sourdough, right? That doesn't mean anything other than that you bake bread using sourdough. And if you don't have a storefront, you can bake all day and nobody will buy from you, right? And when people have products like that, it makes so much sense. But when you look at what you actually do, what you do, you also have products to sell. And take a breath on that. We're going to be working on mindset in a minute, but you have products to sell. You have things you offer. And the clearer you are on who you want to be in your mission, with your legacy, with your beautiful, beautiful message, how you want to change the world and who you want to work with, the clearer and easier it will be for you to actually do this and have an impact. I hope that makes sense. Can you put this in the chat, please? if you understood what I was trying to say here. So I think this is so important, and so many of us don't really understand that. If you wanted to just put this in the chat really quick and just tell me if you got this, what your thoughts are. Great. Okay. Loud and clear. Yes, indeed. Got it. Makes sense, right? Okay. You also understand then that saying, I just don't want to be salesy is kind of like a baker saying, I don't want to have a store, or I don't want to have special offers. I want to make, beautiful things for Sunday morning, but I'm not going to tell people that if they didn't ask me. Nobody comes to my store and asks for it. Well, you didn't tell them, right? So it's kind of like that. So we're clear on this, right? In order to have an impact, you have to have these things all clear, and you can't hide behind EFT. So we have our storefront. Now, EFT is, and some of you will hate me for saying this, go ahead and do that, but it's a Phillips screwdriver. It's nothing else than that. And a lot of people say, I want people to know that EFT exists. I want to get the word out about EFT. That's good. But EFT is just a tool. EFT is nothing but a tool. And if you say, I want people to know about the tool, that doesn't help them, right? Imagine there's a carpenter and you say, well, what do you do? And they say, well, I use a Phillips screwdriver. Oh, so doing what? Well, it does all things. You can use this for so many reasons. You can use this with chairs and with, this and that and the other, and to fix drawers, and it's great. And okay, so what do you do? Well, what do you want me to do? You see how that's vague? And a lot of folks here in the intake form, they said, I want to talk about EFT. That's what makes you irrelevant. You're not relevant when you tell people, I want you to know about EFT, because it's literally nothing but a tool. And when you tell them, I want you to know how great it is, great. If they need a Phillips screwdriver, then now they know how to approach, a way to find one. The second thing I want to talk about, this is our mindset work right now, but I think it's foundational for you guys. Let me know in the chat if you get this. Right? It is a tool. It is not what you do. It is just a tool. Passion. A lot of people say, I'm very passionate. Now, the definition of passion is an uncontrollable emotion. Let that sink in. An uncontrollable emotion. When you are really passionate about something, you will never say, I'm really passionate, but I don't have the money. I'm really passionate, but I'm really too busy. I'm really passionate, but I haven't found the time yet. When you're really passionate, you will get rid of what keeps you busy. You will find money. You will do whatever it takes. And here again, I want to give you a comparison. If this was for your kids, would you find a way? If your business, your EFT work, your clients were as important to you as your children, would you find a way? And just put this in the chat. If your mission is as important for you as your kids are, would you find a way? Then I want to encourage you to not waste your life with things that are not as important for you as your kids. Something you're really passionate about. Chances are, if you haven't done things in a really long time, you're not really passionate enough. It's not really out of control important enough for you. Or you may have to really fine tune, really understand what it is you want to do, right? So really get that burning desire that makes you cry in your heart. This is who I am. And if I can do this, then my life makes sense. And my future makes sense. And everything I've ever done makes sense. And all my investments make sense, right? I want you to really feel that, because this is something so many EFTers really don't understand. And the problem then is that instead of really pursuing their passion, the thing that they're called to do that they're so good at, they get another training. Oh, I think, I have to learn about EMDR, or there was the, the family constellation, or I don't know, what about matrix reimprinting? And then and that's all good. But remember, this is just another Phillips screwdriver. It doesn't get the job done. You get the job done. And a lot of you, I know this, have way too many tools, way more tools than you actually need to make a difference, to have a purpose, to create a mission and a legacy, and to really change people's lives, including your own. So this is mindset work that I hope is really setting in for you a little bit. And I would love for you to post really quickly what it might be that is holding you back, where you are struggling the most. And I do want to share with you something that's really important for me. You guys, who, if you were on the call in the beginning, I'm German. And we were raised with an understanding that surveillance is real, that you can get persecuted for sharing controversial opinions, that people can knock at your door and you can be locked away and getting killed, right? This was the reality of my parents in World War II. And we were raised to be extremely mindful, especially when a political system is scary. Okay. And I realized as I was reaching out and was working on the book that is so dear to my heart, because, again, it creates credibility and other things. I realized that this message was so deeply ingrained in me that I was so afraid to get punished if I really reach out and do this, and it wasn't until a very recent article that I actually published, and let's see if we have time to tell you about this, that made its way all the way into Alaska and Washington, D.C., even though it was a place in the Concord Monitor, that I realized how deep that was. And a lot of you have these thoughts, these feelings that you can't reach out. It's not safe. It's not okay. And yeah, I can't see the chat completely. Let me make sure I can see it here. My hold on a second here. For some reason, there we go. Let me just put that out there. Make sure I can see you guys. For some reason, my mouse doesn't work. All right, I guess I just have to click out of this for just a second and stop the sharing. There we go. Because then I can actually connect with you better. All righty, so let's just see at this really quickly. So what are your fears in here? Around loss, fears around loss, reaching out, making time. Remember, if it's important to you, you will find the time. You will. You always find the time for what's important for you. You find the time to go to your kids' games, right? Right? And nobody needs to see just another game, but it's your kids, so you're seeing it. Feeling authentic when you reach out there. When you are who you are, you're always authentic. When you don't try to be somebody you're not, you're always authentic. Feel that I can prevent somebody from harming themselves, not having the correct attunement with my client. That is, Andrea, thank you for posting this. If you're concerned about their client's safety, that's serious. That you got to take that very seriously. That has nothing to do with reaching out and reaching those clients. It might just be the wrong clients for you, right? Work with people that you're comfortable working with, and not with people you're not comfortable working with. Overwhelmed by the business side and staying organized. Very often, this is a lack of tools. Not knowing how to do it is very often the reason why we're struggling doing things, because you say, well, where do you start? That's not overwhelmed. That's not knowing how to do it. Make sense? Fear of looking foolish. Cannot mobilize myself. Limiting belief, judged for not being traditional. Very powerful, breaking old belief systems there with or old family structures or cultural structures. Alrighty, shall we do some tapping with us? Are you guys comfortable doing that? All righty. If you want to, would somebody, let's see, who would like to get, it's probably easiest if I work with somebody, but we kind of see how to address all these things. Is there anything else you would like for me to address? Put it in the chat right now so we can take a look at it. Fear of looking foolish, fear of being judged, not being motivated, limiting belief I will fail. It's actually not a limiting belief. You will fail. We all do. It's okay. You don't have to believe you will not fail. You will fail. All right. What do? You fail. You know, that's what grades are for. You flunked the test, do it again. It's okay. We all do. Trust. Oh yeah, trust me. Fear that I can prevent someone from harming themselves. Okay. Just visibly finding out how to put myself up there. All right. So that's more than not knowing, believing in myself. Really quickly to this, Barb, you said believing in myself. Sometimes you can't believe in something you haven't proven to yourself. If you've never done it, why would you believe you can do it? You've never done it. You don't know if you can do it. So you can't believe in yourself before you actually do it. You just have to be comfortable in failing, right? Trying it out and saying, hey, you know what, there's a 50-50 chance. And if I flunk this, I flunk this. All right. Let me see. How should we? I hope you guys get this, right? I want to get you into this more lighter mood here. What do you have to lose? Just what? Think about, what do your clients have to lose? I think that's really the much more important question here. What do your clients have to lose? If you never reach out to them, if you hadn't known about this class, what would you have lost? Right? That's the important thing. And you just do your best to do, not to be safe and different than, not safe to be different than those that you know. Lois, totally clear. Well, this is all EFTers. And I still say Lois, and I'm sorry I do that. Forgive me. All righty. Let's get tapping. Okay, everybody tune into your stuff. We'll see where it goes. All right. Karate chop point. Even though. Here I am.
Here I am.
And this sucks.
It's whatever it is. No, I was messing.
Teresa, I'm going to mute you, okay? Oh, can you mute
Oh, sure.
Hold on. This is hard. I knew it. I knew this already, but I didn't know everybody feels this way. I had no idea how hard people all think this is. But I do think it's harder for me than for anybody else, because they're not me and they don't know my problems. And I choose to just be gentle with myself today. And even though the reality is that I have a lot of fears around this, and they make it really hard. And they may not just be fears, they may just be true. I know what happened. I tried before. I know how hurtful it is when they judge you, when they ridicule you because they just don't understand. When you feel like you just lost respect of people you care about. And they just don't support me. There's nobody really supporting me. I know how hard that is. And I'm just going to take a breath on this. Of course I'm scared. Everybody is. Everybody would be. But I can choose to be surprisingly okay with that. And even though, here I am. And I can't even believe I'm tapping right now. This is crazy. What am I doing? I said I'm scared to reach out and I'm still in the class. If I was that scared, I wouldn't show up. Most people don't. And I allow myself right now the respect I deserve. Because I will find a way that works for me. And most likely, it's a way that I don't know yet. Top of your head. There, I said it. It's hard. It might even be harder than I thought it is. What if I fail? Well, I know I will fail in at least some of this. I have never done this before. Maybe you know some social media. Maybe I got some articles in somewhere. But really being visible on a big stage? I don't even know what that feels like. I don't know what that does to me. And I don't know if I'm doing it right. What if I write or say something stupid for the entire world to see? Making a complete fool out of myself. And everybody's watching it. Well, that would be a first. But I do know how hard that is. And I'm just gonna honor myself with great kindness and compassion. Because those fears are real. And I'm tapping on them. One at a time. I know what I do is unusual. For some people, it's downright strange. Actually, it's strange. Not just for some people. It was strange when I started. I remember thinking, what do you mean tapping on my face and body? What is that going to do? But then somebody helped me. Something happened. Someone showed up in my life and explained it to me. I started reading about this. I started learning about this. And it changed my world. And I'm willing to face my fears now with kindness and compassion. And maybe even in tiny baby steps. In steps that work for me. One foot in front of the other. Avoiding avoidable mistakes. While being willing to take a risk when it seems like the right thing to do. I think I'm cool. Look at me. Just imagine it worked out. Imagine I didn't fail at all. Imagine people saying, I read your article. That was amazing. Now I get it. Now I understand. I never got it, but now I do. Can you tell me more? This is phenomenal. Can you help me too? Can I send you my sister? I'm so glad you put this out there. Now it has the credibility that I needed to trust that I can work with you. Thank you for pushing yourself so hard. It really made a difference to me. Deep breath. And open up the mic, send us some feedback if you want. You guys can unmute yourself. How you guys feeling? See a lot of yawns over there, a lot of stretching faces over there. You guys want, anybody wants to say something? Would be nice to hear a voice other than my own.
I'm vibrating from it. I just wanted to say.
Okay.
I did put it in the comments, but I just wanted to mention that that was very powerful. Thank you.
I had an aha moment when you said, then somebody showed it to me, somebody taught me, and I started learning. I had an aha moment there, like the light bulb just went on, like, of course, right? Makes so much sense.
It's the only way. here we are wanting people to understand what we do. We're not telling them, it's kind of like, oh, you need to come to me and ask me. They say, where are you to be found? Well, I don't really do that. I don't really sell to people. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I want to share with you really quickly, anybody feels worse? Anything we need to take care of? Anybody tuned into some horrific thing that we need to get some help with? Pop it in chat if you do need some help. If somebody, I did not ask this before because it's not an EFT class, but if somebody really tunes into something, we have a volunteer that would be willing to work with that person. Could somebody just raise their hand and say, I'm happy to do that? I know. Okay, Carla, you would do that. So already, so if somebody is in a crisis situation, talk to Carla. Okay, and then I guess that can happen. We all know that, right? So want to make sure that we can continue with the class. Somebody else wants to volunteer in case something comes up for somebody?
Oh, I could.
Okay, Barb can do it, Lou can do it. Alrighty, so Lou, Barb, and Carla, thank you for volunteering. I appreciate that. Okay, so cognitive shifts. See, this stuff's important. Right? And I hope you saw that we didn't really change anything, right? We don't need to do mass. Sometimes it's enough. My process is acknowledgement, release, transformation, ART. That's what I do, right? Sometimes it's enough to say, boom, this sucks and I will fail. I will not get this right, and tap on that and release it. It's okay, right? I do want to tell you a story really quickly to, again, help you with that mindset. Being German, I'm being very upset about the situation that they are this close to burning books in America right now. They want to impact which books kids can read, which history is being taught, what cannot be taught. Teachers in New Hampshire are in a phenomenally horrific situation right now. Where kids can tell on their teachers, and the teachers can lose their job. We are that close. It is insane. It is insane. And there's a House bill out there. I see Debbie, you're from New Hampshire, so yeah, read it. House Bill 1255. It will curl your tongue. It's bad. So I put out a post on Facebook on my cell phone, which I do, and just had to write up how we learned about the Holocaust in Germany. Okay, and I'm not going to go deep into this, but I tell you, they told us we went to concentration camps. We learned to hold the honor for life. And I'm happy to send you the article. I'll go to my Facebook post. It's on there. And, at the same time, I told people to have a new haircut, and I wanted to see what happens. Get a haircut, right? Cancer survivor. So I put out, here's the Holocaust article. And some people said, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, people should think about that. And I had like 255 people saying, nice haircut. And I was like, what is this? Women should be seen and not heard. What are we doing here? How is this possible that you can put this message out and nobody cares? And I realized it was the wrong media. And it was too long for that media. So I turned around and I thought, how am I going to get this out there? And I had to focus on, I wanted to make a difference in politics. I wanted to make sure it's quick. I wanted to make sure the thing can be published in its entirety, and it had to be done tomorrow. And I decided that the Concord Monitor was the right outlet for this, because it is in our capital, because we have 2 senators in DC, just like every other state, because it's a small magazine, but everybody reads it. And I put it out there. I learned from Selena, actually from the whole program, what to exactly look for, and which, how to address it, how to approach it, what the right person would be. I send it out. At 10:51 at night, at 8:54 in the morning, I said, we're publishing. I got a message, we publish this tomorrow. And when I had it out there, I clicked on the link on the online, and it was on the front page as a new article. And I published this on social media. And instead of having some people say, nice idea, thank you for posting, all of a sudden I got 100 likes, 100 whatever, people reacting, people forwarding. And I just heard from a friend of mine in Alaska that they gave this to the school board, and the school board changed the rules and have allowed for some books. That's what media does for you. It was not the content, it was where it was published that you get the credibility and the outreach. In addition to that, the law office of our senator in Washington, D.C. contacted me the same morning and said, thank you so very much for publishing this. It was important, right? So find your outlet for messages. That's what media does. I hope this helps you again with your media mindset, right? Found it was not edited. It was not, the thing was way too long. It went over 2 pages. I thought they cut half of it off. They did not. They didn't know where and they didn't know what. It was out there. It was, and their rules were actually 400 to 600 words, 600 to 800 words, and mine was 950. But they said it can be longer. And I thought, let's see. I'm not gonna, I thought, you know what, this is 10 o'clock at night. I'm not gonna edit anything. I'm gonna send this out, do what you wish. You can do this with a smaller thing. You cannot do this with the Washington Post, right? They're way too busy. All right, you guys get that? Excellent. Any questions? Anything else you would like to discuss? We're gonna get back to our PowerPoint here, and then we're gonna talk about some stuff that is going to be hopefully really helpful for you. All right, there we go. All right. So we clear. Does the media want to hear from about you? Yes, but you need to tell them why. You need to tell them what is in it for them. Okay, this is really important. Remember that you always have to give more than you receive. When you're on a podcast, you have to make sure they look good. You have to make sure the magazine, the outlet, benefits from what you have to say. If you go in there in a controversial way, you create just controversy. You're not helping anybody and you leave a bad flavor. So you have to really think this through. You want to make sure you're a good fit for their audience. You want to make sure you really understand who they target their message to. If their message is towards 12 to 17-year-old teenagers, then your message needs to target that market, even if you work with women in menopause, or you have to choose a different outlet. Does that make sense? So you need to make it easy for them to promote you. All right, I'm actually going to leave this up here on the side so that way I can control my control this a little bit better. There you go. All righty. So, so this is what we do today. We talk about what media ready means. We will clear your blocks. We did this. We will talk about some outlets that are good for you. We will talk about where and how you find good outlets, how you can approach them, how and when to pitch. We will talk about some no-nos. And we will do an exercise, and that's where this publicity calendar, again, where it comes in, because that's just the easiest way to get organized and stay organized. Okay. What we will not do today is we will not do some hands-on work on your niche. Obviously, you don't have the time for that. We won't work on your brand or the topics that are best for you. You do need more personal coaching time than what we have here. We won't write your pitches, obviously, and we will not research and finalize your media list. Those are things you need to do. Those are your next steps as you understand what, the foundation of what kind of impact you want to have. Those are your next steps, and they definitely take some time. So everybody has if somebody does not have their calendar, and I'm actually just gonna go like this right now because that's just easier. I'm just gonna put this in here again. If you don't have your media calendar yet, that's where you get it. Okay, excellent. So this is fun. Close your eyes and imagine that Oprah calls. She says, oh, I want to have you on my show. I know she doesn't have that show, but Oprah always has some show. I'll take your favorite show, like a big TV show, CNN. If you're a Fox person, Fox calls, doesn't matter, right? And they say, we want to feature you. We want to interview you. Right? Imagine what that does for you. And then they say, well, can you please send us your media bio? Give us a link to your website, and in 3 sentences exactly what you do. give us 3 talking points, and give us a clear, short pitch about what it is that you're going to be talking about. Would you guys be ready? Just clear up the mics. I'll put it in this in the chat. Would you guys be ready?
No.
Do you have a media bio? Do you have your talking points? Can you tell in 3 sentences what it is that you do? Do you have a way to very quickly show them credibility? Can you talk about your work in a result-oriented way? Remember, you're not talking about a Phillips screwdriver. You talk about the cabinet you built. You're not talking about sourdough. You're talking about bread. Or you talk about feeding children. I mean, that's up to you. But see that? That's why you don't have media coverage. All right. This is something that I realized when I started this, that my website was ready for clients, but it wasn't ready for media. And I completely revamped my website as the first thing that I needed to do. The other thing is, do you have the infrastructure to handle a fallout? You know, Oprah has ruined businesses by giving them so much to do that they couldn't handle, that they went under. Right? Can you handle emails and do you have a good camera? Are you set up? Are you actually set up for this? Right? This is why, for a lot of you guys, being on big television is not your very next moment. It's not your very first step. Does that make sense? Can I get a yes or a no? Or Penny says she has some of it. All of you should. Okay. I'm certain that all of you have some of this. Okay. Let me show you what a media bio actually does. And you better believe I had some help with this thing. Okay. Because when I first learned, when I first came to write a media bio, in my nice wordy way, I wrote, it was probably 1.5 feet long, about all the things I do and all the backgrounds and all the classes and all the training and all this, who knows what, right? It was a long sucker. And I realized the more I wrote, the less I knew what to say. And then I got some help, and this is what came out. Ingrid Dinter is a certified EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, EFT master trainer who specializes in using the stress relief tool EFT to release trauma in veterans. The daughter of a German prisoner of war with over 20 years of experience as a coach, professional speaker, and as an internationally renowned bilingual stress release expert, she is helping to reduce stigma around military service and PTSD and create a bridge of mutual understanding, respect, and trust between the civilian and the military world. She also serves EMTs, police, firefighters, and first responders who are working on the front lines of COVID. Ingrid co-authored the book EFT for PTSD, as well as peer-reviewed research studies about EFT for war trauma in veterans, and participated as an EFT expert in the 90-minute documentary Operation Emotional Freedom. Ingrid has also spoken in front of a variety of audiences, from National Guard drills to local schools and international conferences, such as the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. She's written articles for Energy Psychology, the International Journal for Healing and Caring, New Hampshire Magazine, and the Concord Monitor. The mother of her 21-year-old daughter, Leah, who has been getting her BA in international business while living in 4 different European countries, is a 17-year stage 4 breast cancer survivor. She lives with a husband and 2 cats in rural New Hampshire. You guys get that? You guys get who I am? Is there anything missing there? That's a media bio. Okay. And it covers as quickly and precisely all these different things that you are. It does not tell you anything about the meridians, does it? It doesn't say it's tapping acupressure, does it? It does say, I've been doing this for 20 years, so there's probably going to be something on it, right? Something to it. It does say I work with veterans to release stress and to build a bridge. These are messages, these are missions. So anybody who's interested in building a bridge between the veterans and the civilian world, will they be interested? Right? It doesn't say anything about healing. Why? Because healing can be a trigger word, whereas stress relief, anybody needs that. You see how all of these pieces come together. It puts a little personal thing at the bottom. I go back to it now. Any questions, let me know, right? Okay.
I recognize her name. I just can't place any contact.
Somebody is on the, somebody's on the phone. All right, so you see that, right? This is a media bio. And you guys, when you reach out to the media, when you have this in your pocket and finished together with a professional photo, you're ready to go. Really work on this, okay? It has values in there. It has my credentials in there. It gives credibility in there. This is one of the things that once you have this in place, you feel so much safer to build your business. Does that make sense? You guys get that? Okay. And it's not movable, right? And when somebody says, when you give this to somebody and say, well, why do you have her on? And you say, well, you know, she's helping to reduce stigma around military service and PTSD. Oh, right. It also does not get me into deep waters with the word PTSD because I'm not a licensed mental health professional, so I can't legally say that. Make sense? Cool. So put in the chat, what are you guys an expert in? What do you want to be known for? What is your expertise? Let's see it. Andrea said, I use clean language. Yes, that's true. So write in the chat, what is your expertise? What are you an expert in? All right, remember, this is not about EFT. That's a Phillips screwdriver. When you say I'm an expert in Phillips screwdrivers, that doesn't make you an expert. It's what do you do, not what do you use to do that. Somebody says circuit tapping. That's a Phillips screwdriver. I want to be known for helping university students with the transition from high school to university. Okay, so you're a transition specialist. By the way, it's the word, using the word expert is a really important thing. Stress relief and languages. Lou, that sounds good, but be much clearer with this. What kind of stress relief and why? What's the ultimate outcome? Women's life changes. Could I be much more specific with that? Empowering people during transitions. Well, how about, you know, do you just want to help them during a transition, or do you want to help them transition, be done with? Not an expert, but focusing on trauma, chronic, and see, what are you an expert in? All of you are experts in something, helping people shift from deep loss to self-compassion and peace. Helen, this is not a contradiction. You can be very self-compassionate and feel very much at peace while you go through deep, deep loss. All right. So if it's not a contradiction, then find out either where it contradicts or where it includes together. Bring more connection, ease, and joy into relationships. What kind of relationships? And why are they not joyful? What kind of a connection do you want to bring in? You see that? These are questions you ask as somebody who reads this at first, and the media will do this, right? They will, you're so welcome, Helen. You're great. They will say, well, I don't know what that means. What do you mean more connection? What's the connection? Does she need a phone? Right? Is her internet not working? What does it mean? I want to bring connection into relationships. Are they on different sides of the continent? I work with equestrians and their families, stress and competition for parents, stress and all things involved in horse ownership. Penny, that already sounds like a niche market. That's great, but be more specific. Expert in helping people overcome pain. Linda, overcome pain. What kind of pain? Physical pain, emotional pain. And when you're an expert in helping somebody, that doesn't mean you're helping them.
Okay.
Make sense?
No, yeah, this is my problem with all of this.
I know.
I don't have the proper words. What I think I'm conveying, everyone else isn't getting. And so I've given up a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to
So
do a
you
big,
help people overcome pain. You work with people in physical pain.
right, physical, and I've done emotional pain too. And
Oh,
I've helped them.
physical, yeah. But be more specific. Think about who those people are. Here's why I'm saying this, and then we're going to move on, okay? Because we want to get into the publicity piece of this. But this is important, right? Because if you don't know who you are and what you do, then why would you go on the media and tell them, right? How would you find a good outlet for what you do if you don't have an idea of what it is you do? So, alrighty. When you say I'm an expert in releasing pain, there is certain pain that cannot be released. All right. I remember working with a veteran who had his back destroyed. All right. Completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
You can't release that pain unless you have some serious drugs on your hands. EFT is not going to change that. And you know, as an EFT practitioners, that we do not usually focus on the consistent permanent pain, right? Because there can be a very physical reason for that pain, and you can't guarantee that you can just tap that away, right? So when you say I'm a pain release expert, you actually might be misleading people, right? So helping people with physical pain may even be inaccurate. Be much more clear about what it is you want to do and what it is outcomes that you can actually feel like you can almost guarantee, right? Even though you can't use the word guarantee, but in your mind, you can think about, am I 99.8% certain that this is somebody I can help? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kushla says she paid somebody to work on the bio. Absolutely. And you will hear me talk about Selena. They actually have hired specialists who write you this, right? That is, and you don't pay, if you decide to work with it, you don't pay for that. This thing alone would have cost me $800 just to have somebody write on it and look through it again. And they took all my garbage and gobble and just popped it up and put it together, and we reviewed, and then we were done. It's amazing. But yeah, you need an expert for this. This whole thing really requires expertise. And this is a reason why you guys oftentimes don't reach out, because you don't know what it is you do. You talk about Phillips screwdrivers. Nobody cares. Make sense? And not because they're not good, but the more you explain how good they are, the less people are interested. They want to see results. Make sense? Can I get a yes or no, or I disagree with you, or something? I help people navigate the emotions of being in the caregiver role. Okay, so you help caregivers. Okay, you support caregivers.
Yes.
You will help caregivers navigate the emotions or release stress.
I could say navigate the emotions because it's like a roller coaster, a lot of times for people. So it's stressful.
Okay, so you cope.
Yeah. Is that a good way to express it?
You help people cope, right?
Yes, that's true. Cope.
Okay, cope better as a caregiver. Right? So some of those emotions are going to be released, and some of them are very real. Cool. Excellent. Anything good? Excellent. So let's get to media. Find the right outlets for you. I get you getting, and you're helping each other there. If you have any suggestions, any thoughts, always put them in a chat. The chat is yours. You can download it later. So outlets do very different things, and we're going to be talking about this. All right. So podcasts. There is a lot of beauty around podcasts. First of all, it is still a relatively new medium. Okay. And they usually give you 30 minutes to an hour. Podcasts give you time to chat. Podcasts are also pre-targeted already to a certain market, right? So you can be pretty certain you have a very specific audience that you can talk to that is already educated. In my case, if I work with, if I'm in an EFT podcast, or, for some reason people want to invite me for cancer podcasts all the time, tell us about your story, which is not my expertise. I don't like to do that. I think I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at, and I lost too many friends to this to declare myself an expert in making change. Always happy to share and encourage people, obviously, but you get an audience that is interested in you. So podcasts are relatively easy to access. They're constantly looking for content. I have a whole thing about this. Really focus on that. Maybe as your first outlet to get into podcasts or to get into guest blogging. Both of those are very, very helpful. Guest blogging, this can also be getting into the blog section of print media. Right? They're two separate things. Some people only have blogs. They don't have a print version. Okay. Some magazines are online magazines only, but they have 100,000 viewers a week. Some outlets have the online version after having a magazine for decades. All right. But when you get into the online version, chances are that they publish you is much higher than in print. Much, much higher. So those are two areas that you really want to focus on more. Print media is always cool, but remember, in print media and also radio is a little bit different, but print media and television, they put you in front of very random audiences. Okay, remember that. Remember Nick Ordner going to Dr. Oz and scrambling his way through, because you never know who you have in front of you. You can have some very skeptic people who say, no, it's them again, right? You're also one of many. Your article in print media in a regular print magazine is amongst 50 other articles. In TV, they give you 3 minutes to talk, and it's an hour show, right? So it's not like all eyeballs are you. You get great publicity. You get publicity that gives you credibility. When you can say I was on CNN, that's kind of a big deal. Put that on your website, right? But it usually, all my friends and colleagues who have been in these outlets, Good Morning America, whatever it is, they never got a client from it. Never happened. Never happened. Okay. And also, you cannot really control in these kind of media how the host will treat you. You don't have a way to make up for a stupid question. You can't say, well, that was a stupid question to your TV host, right? First, you don't have the time, and it's just people love the host and you're there as a guest. And it's very hard to correct somebody who asked the wrong question, or what we see in EFT very often, they say, oh, so you mean I'm going to do, and then they do the funny thing. Everybody's laughing and your message just went out the door, right? You can't control that. So, which is why it's even more important that you're very, very, very clear on your message and your target. What exactly you want when you go in there, when you approach that media. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, just put a yes or no, a objections, experiences, put all that in the chat. Okay, very cool. Lucia says yes. Everybody says yes, yes. Anybody says, well, my experience was different. Okay, other outlets on the interviews prepared in advance. Well, that really depends. If they call you, one of my colleagues is an expert in a very weird field. And he says, because he is in this weird field, whenever the weird field is a topic, they call him. And he said at some point, he's actually not as much a colleague, he's in the speaker world. And he said, I'm probably the only person who has talked to every single media outlet naked, because he has his phone in the shower with him in case somebody calls. There's no preparation. They say, hey, can you make a comment on, this new topic that's out there? And then the answer is yes or no. And while he says yes, he's Googling the details. Right? You can't always, media can be extremely fast. You see this online on television, for example, all the time. that they say, thank you for popping in the last minute. You can be certain this guy was in his jeans 10 minutes before. Right? So if you want that kind of visibility, you got to be ready. You have to have your clothes ready. You have to have your makeup finished up. You need to know what you're doing. Otherwise it gets tricky. So, and the question really is it serving you? All right. Other optional things, obviously, are TED Talks. Some of you actually said you in the survey, you said you had TED Talks. Power to you. I love that. Right? TED Talks, you can do training, speaking gigs, all of that are things that kind of come with this, but it's not necessarily where you start. Think about what serves you the best and what you really want to focus on in the beginning the most are probably your podcasts and your guest blogging and maybe some expertise experience, some expert posts, some comments that make you look good. Make sense? Anybody here comfortable with podcasts? Do you know how to find podcasts? Put it in the chat. Risha says no. Penny says yes. Penny, how do you find podcasts? I don't listen to podcasts. Interesting. Okay. It's a good thing to do. All right. If you want to reach out into the media, you have to know what the media actually does. You have to see what kind of information is out there. You have to actually learn and read to see who would be a good audience for you. That was really no. Oh, Penny said no. I can't find them and often listen, but not done them. I know how to find them. I'm subscribed to Jean's podcast. Okay, Jean. Yeah, well, Jean is, Andrea says this. Jean is very easy to find because he's one of us, right? So everybody knows Jean, Jean Monastrelli. I've certainly been on his podcast in the beginning as well. And, there's some of us who do this, but they also kind of talk to us, EFTers, right? Whereas you want to reach out bigger than that. All right, Karen says, I love to listen to podcasts. Perfect. So podcasts, media, blogging, all of these things. Here is, I give you a secret tool. Take good notes. This is secret. Google it. I kid you not. This is really true. Okay. You have to use Google as if it was your friend, and you ask your friend, hey, where do I send what is a good podcast for me? Google it, right? So the clearer you are on what you would like to talk about, the easier it gets for you to find resources just by Googling. I kid you not. A couple of things you can Google. What are the top 10 podcasts on EFT? What are the top 3 magazines for grief and coping? Or you can Google who is a podcast host. You can just put in podcast or a blog or whatever and a certain topic. You can also just think, there's this person, there's Dawson Church, or, pick somebody, Gary Craig. Those are people we all know, but there's a whole bunch of people that are really, really famous. And you can just Google where they post. Get to know the field, see what's out there, see what other people are using. And, and really, get into researching this and taking the research seriously. A lot of people say, I don't know how to find them, but they've actually never Googled it. Can I see a show of hands if you're one of those, if you've ever actually Googled top 10 podcasts or top 10 blogs or blog posts on, and then put your topic in there? Who's done that before? Can you just pop it in the blog? Have not seen. I know. Peter Stapleton is wonderful. Absolutely. Remember, Peter Stapleton, however, is a researcher. She's very niched in, and a lot of her publications are actually in peer-reviewed magazines. That's not really media for the masses. But she uses the outlets that she knows to get the word out. Okay. So YouTube, absolutely, you know, use YouTube. YouTube is actually the second largest search engine after Google. Did you know that? Follow the people that you're interested in and reach out this way. See what they do, see who they talk to, and you will learn a lot about them. But before we go any further in this year, I would like for you to just go through this exercise really quickly. What is your preferred kind of visibility? Do you like to be seen? If you like to be seen, you probably have your outfit ready. You probably know how to put on makeup for a camera. You probably have the jewelry that works. You love to be on a stage. You know how to get your hair together. And I'm just talking very, you know, very superficial things that if you really want to be seen, however, they matter, right? Because you want to be seen as a credible person. So you want to get everything out of the way that takes away from that. But if you like to be seen, you know, Zoom, YouTube podcasts, TV is great. There are actually blog posts, obviously, you know, that are visual. Speaking gigs, TED Talks. If you like to get heard more than be seen, audio podcasts are great. Classes, courses on expert platforms are great. Especially the audio podcasts, really look into this. If you like to be read, you know, people said, aren't they prepared? The more you can prepare your print media, if you like to be, if you really want to get the word across in a way that you want to, blogging might be more for you. It might be a safer way to go about it. Social media posts. Social media, by the way, isn't really media. Social media is a way to hang out. And it has its own, just because you are posting in somebody's topic doesn't mean you're all of a sudden a celebrity. Think about, do you want to be talked about? Do you want to have others quote you? Do you want to be seen as an expert, become an influencer? Maybe there's a way for you to find out a discussion that's important and contribute to that discussion. What is it that you want? Do you want to contribute? Do you want to be read, like research? Do you want to be heard? Do you want to be on podcasts? Do you want to be seen? What's your comfort zone? Just put that in the chat. What do you think works best for you? And Martine says, bye-bye. That's great. Yeah, I can see that we're, you know, getting over this a little. Print. Nancy says print. Well, print, does that mean, okay, we're going to be talking about print. All right. Podcast, audio. Anybody else? Debbie, I know you love a stage. But you also hosted your own radio show. So online blogging, more heard. Diane says more heard. Okay, blogging. Okay. Print interviews was fun. Courses, possibly podcasts or YouTube. Okay, cool. Remember, however, being read also allows you to hide. Right? So just putting that out there. Cool. Kat says, yes, I know. All right. Well, getting media is not really the right way to hide. So just tap on it. So when you approach magazines or online or print, remember Google's your friend. So here's your how-to. Okay, here's some how-to things that you need to do. first of all, you Google where you want to be posted. You want to, what is out there that would be a good match for you, right? And you have to make those decisions for yourself. And then you need to go to the website and look for the pitch submission guidelines. You have to look for who is the right editor for you and what are their pitch submission guidelines. Some of them will say, for example, USA Today will tell you, you can pitch, but it has to be this long and it cannot be posted anywhere else. And yes, that includes social media and your own personal blog. Right? Which means if you have posted an article somewhere else, you can't post it on USA Today. You have to roll up your sleeves and write it again. This is important to know, right? Others say, we don't care. Some people say, give you very, very clear guidelines about the length, right? Some people say, pitch us your idea, but we will write the article. Okay, you need to know this. Also, a thing you need to know is, that's actually also something we had in the media course, we had a bunch of editors actually come in and tell us what their life is like. And they told us what it's like to constantly get ideas pitched, like all the time, and how they had just minutes to comb through all the ideas to find out what is right for their magazine at the time. And how they had their criteria so clear on what they were looking for and how they could not get sidetracked by other good ideas because it wouldn't fit that criteria, right? And they told us how they look for, they don't scroll through all the magnificence of you. They really look for, is she answering a question I have right now? Is she addressing a topic that is being covered right now? Yes or no? This needs to be upfront. You can't be too conversational, but you also can't be too technical. So you really want to do this. The other thing is, so they're super, super, super busy. They don't have a lot of time. And it's important for you to remember, when somebody does not post your stuff, it's not personal. It's not. Okay. It's just, most likely it's not a good fit. And it's either not a good fit because the format wasn't right, or the timing wasn't right, or the topic wasn't something they were interested in, or they had already covered it, which is why we come to the media calendar in a little bit. Okay. You need to know that magazines, especially print, they schedule their content 3 to 6 months out. So for all of you who say, I want to be in print magazines, you better start writing for the fall. They're working on Midsummer right now. Okay, so that's really important to know that. If you have a really good story idea for Valentine's Day and you post it on February 1st, you will, that's interesting for next year, but you can be guaranteed they have their pictures together, they have the stuff edited, they have it formatted, they have that is ready to go. It's probably already with the printer. Make sense? You guys get that? Can you just put a yes or a question or anything in the chat? So it is, however, really okay and important to follow up with them politely. Okay. Don't say, well, they didn't print it, I didn't hear back. I guess they didn't like it. Don't guess. It's okay to say, yeah, I just want to circle back, maybe get back on the top of your pile. And know sometimes things get, lost in the shovel. Here's something I talk about, and we're gonna use the media calendar in a minute to make this even more specific, but maybe even give it a little more of an interesting twist when you get back to them. With this new information that we just found out, maybe this is even more interesting for you, something like that in that neighborhood, so that they reconsider, right? And you don't want to do this the next day. Depending on where you pitch, sometimes it's within a week, sometimes it's within 2 or 3 weeks. All right, and you can probably do this twice. Eventually, they just, if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. Again, it's not personal, right? Make sense? You guys get that? Is this helpful? Anybody can say this is not helpful, stop talking? All right. Okay. So when approaching podcasts, don't just look for the biggest ones, but choose the ones with a good fan base. With a good fan base for you, with a mid-size fan base. That's also really important. That is, and the reason why is because usually they just have more time for you. They are not booked out until the next year. They don't have 15,000 people or 20,000 people listening to every episode. So you have more flexibility, and they give you a lot of time. We already talked about this. Google them, get familiar with them, listen to some episodes. Make a personal connection before you pitch with them. Find them on social media, reach out and say, hey, I love your content, so cool. And don't pitch right away, just make that connection. Put yourself into the shoes of somebody who hosts a podcast and what it's like to get pitched by somebody who you already know or somebody you've never heard from. Make sense? You would most likely prefer to talk from to hear from somebody you already know and have a little bit of a conversation. Right? And when you introduce yourself, tell them what you know about them, how that impacted you. And always make sure before that whatever you pitch makes them look good with their audience. Okay, nothing is worse than having a guest who is really awful for your clients. It's embarrassing, and you can't do that, right? So make sure you ask them, how can I serve you? How could what I do serve your audience the best? What do you think could be interesting? What else can I do to really help you out, or make this a real good success for you? This is a two-way street, and the more of those good connections you have, the better for everybody. Make sense? And also make sure that you thank them after. Don't just say, oh, that was fun, and move on. Right? You're building relationships here. So this is super, super important for you guys to do that. And before you approach TV, I know this is a lot, but I really want to get your juices going here a little bit to understand what it is we're talking about. So before approaching TV, think about those things. TV is a fantastic way to build visibility and instant credibility, especially for expert speaking gigs and book publishing and these things, because they're really about being an expert. Basically, when you go on TV and you have your 3 minutes, you say, I'm an expert, read my book, right? Everything else just gets you there. You're not going to tell them what's in the book. You're just going to say, as I'm saying in my book, and then you say something else, right? So it's really that part of it. You use your visibility as a credibility builder. We already said you're most likely one of many, right? And you might be packed between a cooking show and something about a car crash on I-95, right? That's just how they roll, and you need to be comfortable with that. If they ask you to come to the studio, would you be able to go to the studio? Right? I did some public TV, which was fine. That was 30 miles down the road. I got my clothes together and headed over there, no problem. If they called me into CNN, I would have to go, in airplanes and and whatever. Totally different story. Are you equipped to do that? If they say, well, can we do a Zoom interview with you? Do you have a good camera and a good microphone and a good headset? And are you set up? Here's a microphone that I'm using. There's a really good camera that I'm using. Are you ready for them so that when they have you on, your recording doesn't sound bad, right? Think about these things. Also remember that when you're on TV, the audience oftentimes does other things while watching, okay? So especially in the morning, they may be making coffee and watching breakfast TV or whatever, or they're involved in what they just talked about and now you come on. And the audience is much more general. You pop up in their life, but they didn't ask for you to do that. They didn't choose to listen to a podcast. They just say, let's put in Good Morning America and whatever they show they're watching. That's very, very different energy. And you guys have to be okay with that. right? Just think this through when you say, I want to be on TV. This is what that means. Another thing that you really need to have is a solid 3 to 6 minute, well-prepared and organized piece of information. Pitch perfect. Give them 3 things about something. And if they say, well, can you tell me about EFT? I'm going to open up the mics, by the way, in a minute, just to give you a little gift here. So what is EFT? And you say, well, you know how, so what we do is we tap on these points and, and then the stress goes away and they're actually just energetic blocks and we all have them. No, that's not going to work. So we're going to be talking about in a second, just a minute, how you present EFT. I think this is important to do in here. Also really remember, if you actually like a camera, if you're really, really camera shy, that's not a no-no. Actually, my friend Selena is the most introvert person you will ever meet. I always thought she's cool because she never spoke. And when I actually talked to her, I realized she still hates to speak. She's so shy, it's ridiculous. But she has a great media presence because she trained herself. Okay. They may also want to know if you have a video reel. Can you show us how you come across on stage? Do you have good YouTubes? Have you presented on a stage? Do you have something to show? They want to see how you perform, right? These things are part of what you have to have available in order for them to say, I think she's going to be good for us. Make sense? You guys get that? Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing really quick and let us just talk for a minute about, and unmute you. You guys can unmute yourself. How do you present EFT? What do you say it is? Just open up the mic. When somebody says, hey, so what do you do? And what is this EFT? Just brainstorm. You can't get this wrong. This is helpful. Guys, if you can't speak up now, this is a media class.
I've actually learned
go ahead.
I've actually just learned to say it's a stress reducing tool. And then people are like, okay, everybody has stress. What do you do? And then that leads to a conversation. But when I used to say I'm an EFT practitioner, it just shut people down. So now I just say I reduce people's stress.
Okay. Okay, cool. Excellent. Other people, how do you say, what is EFT?
Acupuncture without needles.
Can't hear whoever's speaking.
That's me.
Can you speak up a little louder?
Yeah, acupuncture without needles.
Acupuncture without needles? I wouldn't even know what that is.
Good. Then you ask further.
You're hard to hear, hon. I'm sorry, but
If you don't know
remember
what it is,
that
you usually
when you tell somebody it's acupuncture without needles, so you're basically saying you're doing acupuncture, but you're not.
sort of.
And why would you want to do acupuncture without needles?
Well, I'm specialized in stress reduction, so it would be an easier way to do it by yourself.
Okay, do you see how that's she's specializing in stress reduction? It's a way to do it yourself. See how that's very awake for somebody who isn't in our field. Okay. Thank you. This is perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping, where we would go with this. Who else has when I say what is EFT? So what do you do? What is EFT? What do you say? Can we have at least one more?
It's a mind-body tool that helps relieve stress and move emotions and energy through.
Okay. Mind-body tool. Okay. Very cool. I tell you what I say. I say EFT is a tool to take the trigger out of trauma. It's very memorable. It's short. It has a TT in it. It releases a trauma trigger. It helps you not to get triggered by past trauma. Right? It's not always stress. Sometimes it's a memory, not the stress. Stress is great, but stress is also a symptom. right? Stress is a symptom of trauma, memory, events, physical things, allergies, so think about it this way. So when people say, what is EFT? It's a mind-body tool to take the trigger out of trauma, to release trauma triggers. Okay. I tell you another version that works really well for me. When people say, well, can you tell me more about this? This is super important for you guys. When you present anywhere, you have to have stories, not experiences. Don't lecture. Don't go on any place and lecture unless they ask you to teach a class. Right? When they say, can you please teach a class on? Then yes, you can lecture. Otherwise, don't lecture. Tell stories. Make sense? So one thing that really works well for me is that I say, it never made sense to me. While something that hurts my feelings in a split second should take years to get rid of. What happens in that split second that causes the pain? And why doesn't it take a split second to get rid of this pain? That's very memorable. People start thinking, yeah, you're right, that doesn't make any sense. Right? And then you've opened the door, you created curiosity, and you say, well, the thing is this. The data has shown, research has shown that at the moment of trauma, you actually get energetically blocked. It's almost this, and here's again a story, it's almost this kind of a feeling. And as long as you have this block in you, the stress will be there. And we found a way by tapping on on release points, stress release points on the face. And then when I introduce it, I actually tap before I speak because I want to make it less awkward that way. To use stress release points on your physical body that are well known by the Chinese, by the way, well known in acupuncture and other techniques, to release that block so that the stress is gone. That is a longer way, but you've been invited to talk about it because they had a question they couldn't answer. Why does something that happens in a split second take years to get rid of? And why does talking not solve that problem? Does that make sense? That's actually something I'm also teaching in my classes, so you're welcome, right? But you really want to be in that flow. You want to guide them to ask you the questions that then you can answer in a way that they remember. And when you place a seat like that, everybody will start to question, therapy. People may say, yeah, I've been in therapy for years. And you can say, well, how did that work? In a nicer way than I just did. How is it working for you? Why for years? What have you been telling her that you haven't told before? Why is it still there? Right? But then you're invited. And you have that conversation going. You work with them, not against them. You're not lecturing them. Remember, every time you lecture somebody in an interview, they will feel stupid. It's not nice to go in an interview and tell them that they just don't know as much as you do. It's not nice. They don't want to feel this way, and they don't want to look strange in front of their audience. It's their audience. Make sense? Is this helpful? Okay, cool. Questions. Let's open the mics really quick. I know this is a lot. Let's open the mics for a little bit, quick feedback, and then we move on to the last piece, which is your story ideas and really do a little bit of hands-on work. And that's where we're going to be using the calendar, because you guys are going to fall in love with this. This is so cool. So what kind of questions do you have? Open your mics. You can do this yourself and let me know.
Okay. Ingrid, we're not supposed to talk about.
And can you change your mic? You're very quiet.
It's up to a maximum. Can you hear me now?
I can. I just have. Hold on. What is happening here? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so something's happening here for me right now. Hold on a second. I cannot. Oh, there you go. All right. Well, we'll try to understand you.
You talked about trauma. We're not supposed to speak about trauma if you're not a therapist or licensed.
Mhm. Well, people have trauma. Trauma is not a diagnosis. PTSD is.
Okay, if you're looking at it this way, then I agree.
Be careful with this. This is a good question. You know, what can you say? What can you not say? And I actually, I do not work with PTSD. I work with war memories, combat memories.
Oh, there, then they
Okay.
usually they suffer from PTSD. If it's combat memories, then you've got many different things going on there. And you can
But
trigger
it's
them any moment.
Yeah, you're very, very hard to hear. You can actually change this in your settings really quick. If you go to the microphone and change how your output is, then you can do that.
Okay,
So yeah, but you know, basically bigger question is, remember, the world will hear you and you don't know who they are. So don't say things you're not allowed to say. Make sure you're legally covered, always. What kind of other questions do you guys have from what we talked about so far? You're clear on kind of where you would start, right? You would start with just Googling what's out there. What is in your field? What do they do? What do they talk about? Is there something that is interesting to me? Are they still publishing right now? What you know, what have they done before? Do I connect with this person, right? Do I like their style? Do I like their audience? And can I actually contribute something valuable to them? Make sense? What other questions do you guys have?
This isn't a question, but just a comment.
Yeah.
You had said when you were going through everything and then you were saying, do you like to be seen or not? When you mentioned doing articles or write-ups versus actually doing a presentation, that was huge for me because I had been thinking about going into the university in the local high school and doing a presentation. I'm not comfortable in front of a large group of people, but I have no issue doing a write-up and sending it to them for their website or their newspaper or whatever. So like that was a huge aha moment for me. So thank you for that.
So, and then you're so welcome. Baby steps, guys. Nobody can tell you to do the second step before the first. Get your feet wet. And there is really something to be said about just gaining momentum. Momentum. Just start. Do your first. Do your second. Do your third. Tell people, hey, I've done this. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Let me see that. Your fourth. You will notice this is something that happened to me, that all of a sudden people came to me and say, hey, you know, are you available on my podcast? And I said, sure, wait, but how can I serve you? Right? Gaining momentum is so important. Gaining that confidence. You can't be confident that you can do it before you have proof. You can hope you can do it. You can borrow from some kind of experience in other fields that you can do it, but you've never done it before. Right? And there's a good chance you will flunk, and that's okay, but flunk on a small audience. Or flunk on a big audience. It's totally up to you. You do you, right? Some people feel it's much safer to be on a big stage than on a small stage because they don't have to serve like 5 people. There's 1,500 in the room and they don't have to know, right? But find your comfort zone and do things that you can do consistently. Another really important tip is don't think about your first presentation, think about your 7th. Think about down the road, right? Your first one will not be perfect. So don't worry about the first one. Be okay with screwing up. Do your best, learn, do it again, right? And you will always learn. The fact is, as soon as you gain momentum, your business, your life will change. And in our field, the more we reach out, the more people we touch. I know that there are a number of people alive today that would have taken their lives if they hadn't had the chance to talk to me. I know that with 100% certainty. I know one of my clients would be floating in the lake right now. I would probably pull him out by now. That's how important it is that you show up. It's not about you, and I don't want to be salesy, and I don't want to be, I don't want to be a peer. It's not about you. When you're so sure they need you, then you need to actually be sure enough to spread the word. Go to wherever they want to listen and tell them about it. Make sense? Your business will grow as a result. I can guarantee you this. Hey, Donna, I can guarantee you this. Okay. Your business will grow naturally. Even in my darkest days of chemo, I had a full practice. I just didn't do Zoom because I looked horrid. Okay, but you get it, right? You can absolutely do this, but you also kind of have to, because there's a chance that somebody will not go to college because they don't know how to transition from high school to college. There's a chance that somebody will be in pain forever because they don't know how to get the stress out of being beaten up. There's a chance that somebody will be abusing the children because they don't know how to get their own childhood abuse out of their system. That's why you're reaching out, not because you want to be so special and incredible and the whole world now needs to cheer you on. And if that means presenting yourself in a way that you're comfortable but also professional, then that's what that means. It's okay, we can do that. Make sense? You guys get that? That's your mission right now. So no more, I don't want to be salesy. I don't care. If you don't have anything to offer, then they can't say yes to you. Right? So this is important, you guys. Alrighty, let's talk let me just actually see here. There are two resources I want you guys to actually write down. They are this. Hold on, what am I doing here? There we go. Okay. These are two resources if you want to get into print. They're free. The first one you want to sign up for is called Harrow, and the website is helpareporterout.com. You can sign up for them and you will get 3 times a day, basically SOS requests from reporters who are looking for resources for specific topics. Okay, so they will say, for example, I am working right now on an article on, animal cares in shelters in the suburban Chicago. Who cares, right? If you have anything to say about animals in Chicago suburban shelters, they will know that you're there. So you respond, and as you respond, and obviously they have lifestyle topics, they have health topics, they have any topic under the sun. As you respond, here's a very important thing. Remember, they are posting there because they're in a time crunch. Okay, and so when you get the long list of topics that are there, you skim through them, you think, where do I have something to say? And then in your very first sentence, this is an important trick, in your very first sentence, you have to respond with exactly what they ask for. Because they will skim, they will not read. They get 80 or 100 suggestions and they just skim who is there, who gets it, who can I work with? So when they say, do you know anything about animal shelters? And you say, not animal shelters, but I have worked with horses, then you're out. Make sense? That's media. That is what media does. You have to be on the mark. The second thing that's really important is, the second one that's really nice is Medium. This is actually directly from their website. Anybody can write on Medium, medium.com. Thought leaders, journalists, experts, individuals with unique perspectives, which is all of you. They all share their thinking there. You find pieces by independent writers from around the globe, stories with featured leading authors, and also go ahead to Medium and read. Make sense? See what others do and learn from that. And then you can do that too. So this is another great way to get an outlet where you can get your writing published. Is that helpful? All right. So write these down. Harrow, helpareporterout.com, and Medium, medium.com. Research them and just start. Just start. You can't screw this up. Just start. Okay. Couple of the biggest no-nos. Pitching too late. Sending a Valentine's Day pitch on February 1st. That is too late. They have gotten Valentine's ready last year in November. Not sticking to the requested format, we talked about this. Using them for advertising. If you pitch, you're out. You are serving them, they're not serving you. Put yourself into their feet. How would it feel to you when you have the sense that you are basically just giving them free advertising space? You can craft your information in such a way that they love working with you, or that they love, not love working with you, that the audience will become very interested in you. You may be able to give your website, but you want to clear that up first. But don't go in there just to pitch your business. So if you go and say, I just want to have more clients, then you have to be clear about in which format that's okay for the host. Some hosts, especially in podcasts, or they will say, absolutely, tell us how to connect with you, or tell us you have a special offer. You want to have those ready. What is your special offer? How can people connect with you? That's very common. Another very common thing when you guest blog or guest post or do other pieces is your media bio, which is the shortened version of what I showed you. That this thing is actually designed in such a way that you can clip it at certain places, right? And then you can actually tell them, this is what I do, and this is how they can reach out to me, but don't use them with the intention of advertising. It's not fun. And another big no-no is not following up. Just follow up. Bring yourself back to their attention in a really sweet, nice way. Remember, you are one of 150 they're looking at that day. Cool. All right, so we're going over in time, but I think this is cool for you. If you have to leave, I understand, then you just catch the replay. But I really wanted to make sure you guys get that, right? Media is different than posting something on Facebook. It needs more preparation and it needs more planning. All right, so media calendar. You guys can all on Zoom, you can click on the little thing and put your make your screen in half so you can look at the calendar if you haven't printed it out yet. The first few pages in the calendar are actually really cool introductions. Okay, so you will see some really interesting information about how you should be pitching. And then, so read through that. So when you look at January, which is already gone, obviously, but I think it's such a great month to see what story ideas are. Okay, we have an emergency alert. Sorry about that. So there are a couple of things that you see. Let me actually see if I have this open. Yeah, no, this is fine. Let me stop sharing the screen here so we can work together. Perfect. All right, you guys got that? You guys all, can you just go on camera right now? Because I think this is a better feeling for a workshop than if you guys are just offline. Remember, it's a media workshop. You want to be seen. All right. Just turn on your cameras, and it doesn't matter, whether you're sipping coffee or you're in your jammies, just turn on the camera. Excellent. We're still waiting for a few. So what you can see here is there are a couple of things that you may not know. First of all, months are dedicated to certain events. I don't know if you knew that. You probably knew that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, right? But every month is dedicated to certain things. And those are topics the media is looking for. So you take your content, the things that you do, and you got to wrap your mind around what you could do with what they're looking for with what you have. Does that make sense? You guys have your calendar in front of you? Okay, cool. So, for example, actually, yeah, just going for January because it's cool. It's a Get Organized month. Makes perfect sense, right? This is why in January, reading all these things about, how to get the clutter out of the house, how you clean up better, how to plan out your year. Ever notice that there are all these different topics all at once, all over? That everybody talks about weight loss and bikinis in June? They don't come up with this. This is in the calendar. Right? This is what they do. And if you want to be part of the media, you need to know what they are planning for. Make sense? Okay, cool. This should make it so much easier for you. It's National Mentoring Month. January is. It's also the Grammy Awards. So give me some ideas about EFT and the Grammy Awards. How could you bring EFT and the Grammy Awards together? You're all muted. I will unmute you all. If you let's get started here. No, seriously. You want to be seen and heard? Turn on the cameras and turn on the microphones. It's okay. Yeah,
it's
Mary.
Grammy. If it's Grammy month, I could tie it into what if I don't win tapping.
What if I what?
If I don't win my Grammy.
Okay, how would you phrase that though?
Oh, I don't know. It was just kind of a.
Think about what the Grammy Awards are and think about the challenges in the Grammy Awards.
It's the competition and fear of what if I'm not good enough? What if I don't win? What if I don't look good? What if I'm embarrassed? But not everybody goes to the Grammys, so I would want to tie it into other people.
No. And that's where you're going wrong. You can use this 80% of your article if you want to. You can actually say, you don't have to segue from one into the other in a very big way. You can segue in a smaller way, right? You can say, this is the Grammy Awards. And as we all know, Grammys, we know how difficult it is to be on a stage and put yourself out there. You can also, fear of speaking or of singing in public, and just tie it in. I mean, it goes a little bit, hearing myself right now, it goes a little bit in the direction you said. Yes, absolutely. So it wasn't as the way I said it before. Yeah, talking about stage fright, talking about losing your voice, talking about presenting, whatever comes up. This was actually, I'm sorry, this was actually really a good idea. This was a really good idea. So I'm going to take this back, and you're right. Tie it into this, take the Grammys and use the topic like this a little bit. Holocaust Remembrance Day. Think about that. How could you use that for an article on EFT?
There are still people who are dealing with it.
Can't hear you.
Hang on. I write it.
And then let's actually, so we're already at the end of February, right? We had the Super Bowl in February, sports performance. Great time for EFT and sports performance, but you can be certain they have their Super Bowl articles. Anything that doesn't cover the Super Bowl directly, they work on in November, right? So Valentine's Day, same thing. It's also Family Day in Canada. The Golden Globe Awards are there. And you can see here in the calendar, you really want to read through this. These are fantastic ideas, how you could use your content and tweak it. American Heart Month. You could pitch a story and strategies to keep your heart healthy. Valentine's Day, to keep your relationships flowing, or how to deal with a breakup, right? Or how to deal with a relationship between two, whatever. There's a lot to be said there. Let us all go forward really quickly and move more into the summer, because this is kind of May, June, July. This is kind of where you want to start looking into something you might be able to contribute. So I'm on which what are you looking at? Is it May? National Teen Pregnancy Prevention Month. Did you know it's that? It's an interesting topic, right? Teenage pregnancy. You could write on that. What would you write about teenage pregnancy? How can EFT and teenage pregnancy work together? Let's just unmute everybody right now.
I don't think that's one I would take on.
Okay.
Honestly. Coming from my background Well, where I would want to use it is specifically on, in the past, when teenage pregnancy didn't have as many options as there are currently. And I don't want to get into the biases of what options are available at all. But what I would want to help with is people in the past who maybe were forced to give their baby up for adoption and how they're dealing with that currently. But that's a pretty specific audience.
So you need to find a pretty specific outlet. Remember, this is where it comes in. Are you working for Teen Magazine? For
No.
17? For a parenting magazine? You know, this would be a great article for parenting. And you can say how to talk with your teenager about pregnancy. How to get the stress out of that conversation, how to help your teenager through an abortion if you want to go there, right? Or how to help your teenager is pregnant. But you can also take this in a much, much bigger sense, right? You know, were you raised by teenage parents? I have a bunch of clients whose parents were under 20. Think about that, right? How to forgive your parents' shortcomings, realizing your parents were 19 when they had you. You thought they're adults, they were not adults. You get that? That's what I want you to get started. This is where I would like for you to unmute. Okay, I'm going to say this loud now. Would you please unmute the microphones? Okay, I can't teach when you guys aren't speaking. This is the time to turn on your microphone and communicate. Morella, would you please turn on your microphone? Moret, would you please turn on your mic? Don, Nicola, Nancy, would you please turn on your mic so we can hear you? Let's discuss this. We need this energy together. You guys get that, right?
Yes.
This is very different from saying, I work with teenagers who are pregnant. And it's when you say, for example, something like, well, let's look at May and look at May and pick a date and just think about how this might relate to something you can do as a stress release coach, as a.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have one. Okay, so I saw somewhere that somewhere in May is Skin Cancer Detection and Prevention Month.
Okay.
And I've sort of fallen into helping people with their stress and anxiety about things dealing with their health. And one of the groups that found me is someone who has a breast cancer foundation. And she asked me to do a tapping group with people who she's assisting who have breast cancer diagnoses. And so I've found that people are finding me and I'm helping them by tapping on their terrible stress about some piece of their health. Like what if they're having like a test done or they're even afraid that they're going to need to have some test done. And this is an area it was like, I didn't even realize existed. So there's certainly some article that could be written about whatever. You should be scheduling your skin cancer appointment like that. You're supposed to go to your dermatologist every certain amount of time and check and make sure that there's nothing that you can't see on your back or whatever. And then say they found something.
Mm-hmm.
Tapping on the doctor said, whatever, they found something that needs to be taken off and sent away. That's just come to me just now.
You guys get that?
In May.
I hear 5 articles already. Okay. And you see that the more we talk about it, the more out there it gets. Now you want to bring it in. What kind of article did you hear? What did you hear that she can write about, or that all of you, I would think, can write about?
The fear of the diagnosis.
So put in the chat. Put in the chat. Fear of a diagnosis, I heard.
Yes.
Managing stress between testing and receiving results.
That's an interesting article by itself. How
What
do
was
you
that? I
cope
didn't hear
with
what she said.
How do you cope with the wait period?
Oh, ooh, that is good.
Okay.
The resistance of making an appointment.
Okay.
Mm.
Hugely important for who would be interested in that.
Yeah. How to talk to your family about your diagnosis,
Let's look
managing
for
your
an outlet
stress.
really quickly. Who would be interested in an article about making an appointment, fear of making an appointment?
Yeah.
It could be anybody. It doesn't even have to do with skin. It can be any kind of a doctor's appointment, an interview, anything like that.
Right, but let's hone it in and bring it now, because this is why what I want you guys to get. You're so right, Donna. But when you know that we're talking about Skin Cancer Detection and Prevention Month, then we craft it towards that.
Right. So could I talk about my story of having had skin cancer? I mean, would that be something, and my resistance to making an appointment to find out?
And what you did, yes, how I overcame my fear of diagnosis, how I overcame my fear of diagnosis and how that saved my life. Right? Absolutely. You guys see this? This is why this is so important, because all of a sudden you start thinking outside of the box. Now, let's go back really quickly to this idea of fear of making an appointment. This is great for any doctor's magazine.
Yeah.
Every doctor knows that patients aren't making their appointments.
So women's magazines.
Women's magazines. So you're entering a target niche market with a specific audience who has a certain problem. What problem do I have? My clients don't make appointments. I tell them they have to come in 3 months and they're just not making their appointments. Right? And you can do this with, it's Skin Cancer Detection Month. What do you do when your clients don't make an appointment? And then you can tie this in. And honestly, you don't always have to bring an EFT, because your mission is your audience. You can say, and it says in your bio that you do EFT, but you don't have to twist and turn them and make them understand. At the end of the day, it's not about that, it's about EFT. Write about that, right? You become an expert in the field. People say, I read your article on how to get people to make appointments. And you had these 3 main reasons why people don't. You're so right. And I loved how you approached that and your point of view. All of a sudden, you're an expert. That's how you enter a field. You get that?
Yes.
Right? So don't be too close to what you think you need to be saying. Open that up. Excellent. So cool, Liz. And Carla, you want to say something else before another way of addressing the topic?
Oh, I shared it in the chat, just managing emotions or managing how you share your diagnosis. If you have a diagnosis with friends and family, the stress of telling people about what's going on with you, right? 5 reasons why I was scared to share my diagnosis with my family or something like that.
Yeah. How to overcome the fear of sharing. Who would be an audience for that?
Well, anybody who has a diagnosis, I guess.
But who is the audience? Who is the magazine, the podcast?
Family.
What kind of podcasts and magazines would you be posting, or blog posts, blogs would you be posting this in?
Doctors' magazines or family magazines, women's magazines.
Exactly.
Or podcasts or whatever.
Absolutely. So in October, make it twisted again and say how to tell your husband or your children that you have cancer. Right? And access it from breast cancer. Or, I want you to really start thinking very differently now. It's not all CNN and Washington Post or whatever it is you're looking at. There are thousands of niche areas that have your ideal client here. And when you know what they're looking for and when, you can write so much. All of you told me almost all of you told me that you don't know what to write about. This is how you change this. And you need to know when they're doing that, when they're talking about these topics. Mother's Day obviously is in there, right? They have Mother's Day pat down by November, right? I mean, it's just like they don't find these pictures, you know, on a Saturday night. This is way done. But you can still, when you know Mother's Day is coming up, you can start thinking about this around Christmas, right? And see, what would you do with Mother's Day? How to honor your mother, your deceased mother on Mother's Day. How to cope with the grief of Mother's Day when you lost your mom, right? Think about that. How would that be as a topic?
For a lot of my clients, they don't necessarily have a great relationship with their mother. So how to deal with, you know, the grief around, you know, not having around Mother's Day when you don't want to see your mom or something like that, like topics around that.
Fantastic. And who would be a good outlet for that?
I guess family magazines, family websites, maybe mental health websites as well. Mental health outlets that support people who struggle with that.
How about you're a mom and your kids hate you? Or your kids are on drugs and they don't come on Mother's Day and you already know it, right? How about you've lost your child? All of these are EFT topics, but they are very different than you know, buy my shit. They are very targeted, but they are very valuable and helpful. Make sense? How to cope with Mother's Day after, you know, after losing your child, or how to deal with Mother's Day after a stillbirth.
Miscarriage, yeah.
Right? These are very different articles. And you see how they touch your heart, right? This is specific. So, and it is very different from saying which flowers to buy and which chocolates are good. You see how you can contribute? Does that make sense? Let's do one or two more. And I know we're way over in time, but I wanted to give this, I don't know, I just want to help you guys as much as I can. And there is, I know that for some of you, this is really such a, you know, like a freight train that we need to get going a little bit. It was for me. Right. And it's not easy. This stuff's not easy. So just look into, yeah, July is actually Holistic Therapy Day. I don't know if you knew that. And you can make your memory hook into, in your media hook into, you know, a Holistic Therapy Day as it's July 26th. What could we say about Holistic Therapy Day? You think that's a no-brainer, but think about it. What kind of articles would make sense?
From my perspective, and the people that I am most closely associated with, which are very much Western medicine, which I do participate in Western medicine, but it would be the convincing the people who don't believe in it to support me if I choose it, if I choose holistic.
Powerful stuff. Is that valuable?
Absolutely.
Right.
It's an amazing perspective, actually.
Everybody needs that. Don't just think tight it, but wait a minute, I'm an EFTer and my mission is to get EFT out into the world. You need to see this in a bigger context, right? And place yourself as an expert in that field. And sometimes you talk about EFT, sometimes you don't, but you always have something relevant to say to the right outlets at the right time. That's why this is so important, right? And remember, you're not ever teaching, don't teach. Write this down, don't teach, don't preach, tell stories and explain them. If you don't have a story why you know what you know, you're probably not an expert. Write this down. If there is no story that got you to where you are today, you probably don't own your topic yet. Okay, so you will have stories. As soon as you feel that spark in your heart, you will have stories. Make sense? Another thing about Holistic Therapy Day, July. What other suggestions? Or look at the calendar, look at July 22. What else pops up? What do you think you could write about? I mean,
Parents' Day.
Parents' Day? What would you write about Parents' Day?
How to, well, especially in July with a lot of kids going from grade 12 to university in September, that'd be a good time to start a conversation with your kids on all of the things that they may come across. And the article could have a list of certain things that they might not think of that might relate to having mental health issues when they move away from family and friends in some cases. Looking at a bigger picture, because a lot of kids come from, in where I live in Prince Edward Island, a lot of kids come from rural schools going to a huge international based student school, having a lot of fear about fitting in, making new friends, all kinds of things.
Did you notice how she started with how to and then nothing flew? And then she started talking about things, and then she got more and more into the storytelling, and then she's really in the storytelling. And that's when it started to flow. Did you notice that? You know, remember, I'm in this, and the more personal it became, the more you started to shine.
Parents without partners too, you know, non-traditional families.
Non-traditional families, very, very relevant topic. Absolutely. And which perspectives could you have on non-traditional parents?
It could be from a child's perspective, you know, being the child of a non-traditional, you know, parent, family. I mean, it could be from any, I guess, any perspective.
Mixed race families, same-sex families.
Which do you resonate with personally?
I grew up in a very traditional family, you know, and that had its challenges too.
And how does this relate to non-traditional families for you?
I guess
what is it you learned?
Looking at it from a different perspective, you know, that coming from a very traditional family, it could be very narrow perspective of what family is and how important it is to look at other ways of being parents.
And what did you discover, and how did you realize that?
That's a good question. I guess just the conversation with you know, with this group.
Okay, which group?
This group that we're in right now.
Okay.
You know, when talking about interracial families, you know, non-traditional sex parents. You know, for me personally, I have a transgender grandchild.
Now we're talking. What I didn't know about my transgender grandchild, and what I wish somebody would explain to me better. It's totally fine to say.
Those types of that.
I need to learn.
For me, that is something that I would worry about publishing because of the protecting of my family member or the privacy. And so that would be tricky for me, like how to twist it up so I'm not divulging family secrets.
You cannot do this without permission.
Right. But so in this case, I probably wouldn't be able to write the article unless I made it all third person.
Yeah, if they say don't write about me, no, you can't. But if they do, But what are we getting at here?
But what I mean is I would have to make it generic. I couldn't make it specific because then it would be infringing on privacy.
And yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And that may depend on who you're writing about and if they want you to do that or not. Absolutely. You need to clarify this totally. Yeah. And what we're noticing here, what I think we're getting is that your voice, most of you said, I don't really know what to say. I don't know what I'm an expert in. I don't know what to write on. Your voice becomes relevant when it's you. Okay. And there is no right or wrong here. So Donna, what a grandmother learned about non-traditional families from having a very traditional upbringing. That's not right material right now, but I'm trying to figure out which twist you could give that other people see. You want to tap into a pool of people that have your situation, that say, damn, yeah, I don't know why my daughter is hanging out with girls. I don't get it. My grandchild's hanging out with girls and she was always so cute, right? You get that? So tap into the market or into the mind of people that are kind of where you are, but no less than what you do. Mm-hmm. And if that only means I have this conflict because I don't find anything in my upbringing that would justify it, and I'm working so hard on finding it. And this is what that feels like.
Yeah, and I can think for myself personally, I grew up in a very traditional family, but I always felt left out for whatever the reasons. And yet I think of, my transgender grandchild who actually has found a niche that where he belongs. Mm-hmm. So it almost was irrelevant that I grew up in a very traditional background. You could still feel left out, if you're like everybody else. So yeah, I could see doing something with that.
Dig deeper is the point. That's wonderful. Things that I learned from watching. And if you want to be more distant, you can say, from watching transgender teenagers. That's basically what your grandchild is. Mm-hmm. I would think a teenager. That helped me overcome feeling left out in my own family.
Yeah.
Right. So think about this. Take yourself seriously. Take your life's experience seriously. And only when you get to the core of your own story, why it matters to you, you get away from being a person on a mission that wants to tell everybody how everybody's feeling, and you're getting into that personal moment. That's when you start to change lives. And EFT is a fantastic screwdriver to get the job done. Fantastic. We all know that. We all love it, right? 20 years over here. It's like, I can't stop this stuff. It's just awesome. But you're not selling, you're getting deeper. So your homework would be to really go through the calendar. You have a fantastic idea and pick 2-3 topics out of each month and think about why they resonate with you. Okay, why do I click with this? And think this through, and then think about who you would like to learn from you and where these people hang out. And really just start thinking podcasts or blog posts or, specialized areas right now, because you're in a place of gaining momentum. That doesn't mean I don't want to discourage you from going very big. If that's where you want to go and that's what you're doing, hey, power to you, right? For you. But I don't want to discourage you from doing other things as well, if that's where you are and that's where you need to start. Does that make sense? Is this helpful?
Yep.
Yes.
We went a little over time, but you see, this is, and you're here. A lot of people are not. They say they want to reach out and they're so passionate, but they're not here. You here. That means something. It's important. And you are important. Your words are important. Your mission is important. Your message is important. There's a good chance that because you show up and you write something or you say something, somebody changes the law, somebody doesn't swim through a lake, somebody stops being angry at their mother or their transgender child, somebody is able to release something that they've been carrying for 70 years just because you spoke up. Just because you said it doesn't have to be this way. And this is how I know that. Not telling them what to do or what to think, but making sure that they know they're not alone and they're people who found solutions. And because of that, they now can do something. And if they want to talk to you, make yourself available. That's where you reach out into the media. And if they say, can I work with you? You better say yes and figure out what that looks like. Right? That's what real marketing is. And that's what real sales is. It means I want to make sure you're hungry. Come on, let's get you some bread. Right? Don't say, this is too expensive for you. You can't afford that. They're hungry. They need you. So take this seriously. I have so much respect for you, for being here, for showing up, for doing the work. I hope this is a great gift for you. And you can really sit down and work with this. And I want to make sure that, I did tell you that obviously Selena does this program and it's dear to my heart. Actually, I'm already signed up. I do it again. So because I learned a ton and I need to learn more. I have goals for next year. I want to build that bridge. I want to be seen on a very big stage and I just need the support. And that's totally clear to me. So you are in their system. When you downloaded this, you saw that you signed up for their page. Whether you sign up for a course or not, that is not relevant right now. What I really want you to know, and I'm not allowed to talk about this in a very big way, but they're offering a 3-day course that is free. There's no strings attached. It's part of getting the word out, and it's just how that works. From 500 people who say they want to take the course, some of them will actually sign up with them. You don't have to be those, but take the course because they will actually teach you some of the things we didn't talk about, right? You get an opportunity to actually work with the experts. Their goal is to show you how great they are so that you can actually learn from them, right? And that you can realize where you're at and evaluate where you're at. If you say no later and you say, that's all I need and you're on your way, that's perfect. If you do want to do this, obviously I'm an affiliate, that's clear, but I also want to tell you, I give my commissions always back to people in bonuses. Okay, so you can watch for that too. So it's not I'm raking things in, but I will offer courses and sessions and all sorts of stuff to make sure that I can support you from where I'm at, because that's just, the right thing for me to do. So go with the program, go as far as you want. If it's for you, that's great. If it's not for you, you've learned things you didn't know before, but don't stop. Your message is important and you are important. And there are people who are alive today because you showed up in their life. And you never know who that is. And they need that opportunity just as much as we needed it when we first heard. If my chiropractor had never told me about EFT, I wouldn't be doing it today. And that's just true. All right. So much love to you. Thank you for hanging in there for a long class. Let us know how, and I'm just wondering how we can do this. Maybe just in the EFT group. Maybe if you just want to go into the EFT International group and we can just chat more about this. I think that's okay because they're also interested in EFTers talking more. Maybe we can do, we have to think about this. I'll let you know. But I want to stay in contact and make sure that that you guys actually gain momentum and keep it up. All right. Thank you for being you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
For being amazing. And
I had so many pivoting things and happen in there as well. It's incredible. The ideas are incredible. Thank you.
And they're just, you're so welcome. And let me know what else you might need, what else could serve you. Okay, shoot me emails, let me know. I'm always there. You can also go to my website, ingriddinter.com, and sign up for a 15-minute call with me. You get into my calendar. That's always an option if you just want to talk directly. ingriddinter.com. And I love you all. You're amazing.
Thank
Take
you.
good care. Bye-bye.
Bye.